Good morning. Good morning. Let me go live on Instagram really quickly and then I will be all ready to go. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, you guys. Happy Saturday. I am live this morning as part of my quick crafts with Royce, where I'm live every morning in the month of January at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm saying quick crafts, but really I think I've had one quick craft or maybe two. It's really doing a project from start to finish, you guys. Um, and I'm hoping that you guys will be inspired. So 30 days of crafting every day to jumpstart our inspiration for the month of January. If you are coming to join me every morning, I invite you to make this a co-working session so you can craft while you watch me craft, and we'll both be carving out time to create with our hands, right? Which is always good. Today, we're going to be working on clipboards again because yesterday we did a clipboard and we did my style, a little grungy. This was the final result of yesterday's. We underpainted, which is what we're talking about, is underpainting, under decoupage, and how you can kind of introduce new attributes to your finish by doing things before you decoupage. Because the one thing about the Roycycled Decoupage papers is that they have a transparent nature. So you can see through them to the bottom, and there's ways that you can control just how transparent they get. So yesterday, we did like a really super grungy halo on this clipboard before we decoupaged. And then I did after we parted our ways yesterday, I did go around the edge and I added some more ink just so I could have it be really dark. And we also painted our clip. Look at that. Isn't that just yummy and chippy? So we painted our clip yesterday using some milk paint and some waxes to create this really pretty chippy finish. And so yesterday was grungy and absolutely recycled style, but today we're going to do something pretty. And I want to go on record to say that the fact that today's video is not going to be super short is all Lynn Brundage's fault. Y'all can tell her that I'm talking about her. Reason I say that is because a couple of days ago, she posted a video decoupaging over a Crackle finish. And so I have to do it now to do it. So we are going to create with one of these papers. I honestly haven't decided which one yet. And I also have some transfers. So we're going to talk about putting transfers over the top of your decoupage paper as well. So I have some floral transfers that I pulled out here, and I'm going to have to decide which one of these I'm going to use. Let's see, let's set that up here because I'm going live every day and I'm trying not to make the video a mess, you guys. So I'm trying to be very conscientious about where I'm putting everything. So I guess I should introduce myself. If you are new here, my name is Royce Bell. I'm the founder, owner, and operator of Roycycled Treasures. We empower people to be able to create, whether it's for their hearts, for their homes, or even for their businesses, by providing quality craft supplies, inspiration, instruction, and encouragement. So if you do not follow Roycycled, I encourage you to do so because it's all good stuff here. This morning, we're going to be using recycled decoupage paper to create a beautiful clipboard. I'm also going to be using some chalk style paint, some milk paint, probably some wax. I'm going to be using a Crackle medium, some water-based varnish, and I think that's all I'm using today. I am purposely not mentioning brands because I have retailers who carry my decoupage paper, and I want them to be able to share these videos with their audiences. But if you ask me in the comments, I will tell you like what the brand is of whatever product that I used. So for the Roycycled Decoupage paper, I have several designs pulled out. You guys will remember the music sheets, which is just a whole bunch of music notes. They're different sizes and different orientation. This is actually not even a whole sheet. because we already used a piece, right, for our project last week, this week, I don't know. We used it already. But if you aren't familiar with Roycycled Decoupage paper, you guys, these are not napkins. This is a tissue paper. It's an 18-pound tissue paper. So it's heavier than like the tissue paper that you use to put in your gift bags, but it's much lighter than, say, a printer paper that you just, or copy paper. So it really is a perfect weight for decoupage because it's light enough to still disappear on your surface, much like tissue does, but it's heavier, so it gives you it's a little bit more forgiving, right, than the lighter tissues. So, and the sheets come in 21-inch by 29-inch sheets, so you get a ton of product or projects out of one sheet, or you can use it on larger projects like furniture. So this is the one I was considering. I think we used this one already, so maybe we won't use this one again today. And I'm being intentional about choosing designs that have really light backgrounds because we're going to be playing with transparency today. This one is ephemera collage, you guys, and this one is kind of a master board of ephemera and elements, and they're different ones. And so this one's really fun because the theme is kind of the same, but you have a lot of different elements. And I think this one would be fun to use on our clipboard today. So I'm going to set this one to the right. Maybe, I don't know. This one has, you guys will notice that this one is like a bright light, and this one has like a taupey tone kind of behind it. This one is natural history, and it also has kind of a tone to it as well. And it's a larger scale. You can see everything is a lot bigger than the other ones. And it's kind of one big design on a sheet, as opposed to having a lot of smaller designs. This one's really pretty on furniture, but the elements are still like you have all these beautiful elements that you can still use on a smaller project. And then my last consideration is Queen Bee. And I was definitely going to use this one. I actually have this one to pull out as a definite for this one, except I really want to use transfers over the top. And if we use Queen Bee, she kind of already has her own flowers. And so it wouldn't work, not for this project, but again, you can see the scale on this is much larger. This would be perfect for like a furniture piece. And this is the very first design that I ever offered for Roycycled. It's interesting looking at it because how I work has changed so much over the years, but it's still absolutely beautiful and it's still one of my top sellers. But I think that, oh, I was gonna grab a sheet of my dang it. I have a topography love sheet that would be perfect for this, but it's okay. We're just gonna make a choice. I think I'm gonna go with the ephemera collage paper. And yesterday we did dark and grungy, and so that's how we prepped our surface. Today, because we're going to be working, I'm thinking that I'm probably going to use a couple of pink flowers. I don't know which ones yet. We'll decide, but I'm thinking I can do like some flowers up top and then a flower on the bottom or something. I don't know. But I have several options for pink, but I definitely want to use pink flowers. That much I know. And because I'm going to be putting pink flowers over the top of my paper, we are actually going to paint our background green. But I want to experiment, and I'm going to apply a Crackle medium on my surface first. And then I'm going to go over it with the green chalks out paint after that. And if you guys are new to my quick crafts with Royce in the mornings, I do not look at the comments because I don't want to get distracted. I want to stay focused so we can get through the project from start to finish and like a relative, it's supposed to be 25 minutes, but that's only happened twice. It's going to be more than that, so that we can get through the project though, right, from start to finish. But if you have questions, you can put them in the comment. If you're on Facebook, your comments stay there. For YouTube, I can see the comments. I figured that out, but I can't reply to them. It's so weird. So if you have a burning question on YouTube and or Instagram, drop them like I'm not posting it on Instagram. I'm sorry, Instagram. I'm just starting to learn how to use Instagram. So um I'm not sure how to answer your questions, but Facebook, you can put your questions in the comments and I'll go back and answer them after I'm done. YouTube, you can go ahead and put the questions in there. And what I'll do is in my YouTube communities, I'll go through and answer your questions there. That's okay. I'll post a picture of the project and then I'll answer any questions that were posted during the live. That's what I'll do. And I'm shaking this up to make sure it's mixed well. I'm trying not to shake it too much. Blah, blah. I can't talk apparently, so I don't get a bunch of bubbles. But um, I do want to make sure that everything is mixed well. And so I'm going to put this medium down and we are going to let this dry. And then we're going to go over it with our green paint. And we're going to see what happens because I've never used this product before. So I legitimately don't know what's going to happen. We will see together. But you guys know my saying, where experimentation goes, creativity follows. So oftentimes when we're experimenting with products or processes, we discover things. And if we like them, they become a permanent part of our process, right? If this is like other products, I do know that if I put it on thicker, I'm going to get larger cracks. And if I put it on thinner, I'm going to get smaller cracks. Oh, Lord, I don't have my mic on. I am so sorry. I hope you guys could hear me. I might have to, I always repeat everything anyway, so I'll keep going. I apologize for that. Um, so I'm using a Crackle medium and I'm laying it down and I'm being deliberate about, I did put bubbles in there. I have bubbles on my thing now. We'll see how that impacts it. About how I'm laying down my Crackle medium. You guys will notice that I'm not doing really long strokes. I have a theory, you guys. We're going to test it right now. My theory is that sometimes when you see a Crackle finish, you'll see like those really long striations. And I don't dislike them, but to me, the Crackle that just brings me joy is the kind of Crackle you see in like an antique ironstone piece or on an old oil painting, right? It's a different kind of Crackle, not that kind of long striated Crackle. And so I am laying the Crackle down in really short strokes and I'm doing little cross hatches, hoping that I can create the kind of Crackle that I prefer. And this is something that's in my mind, but we're going to test out my theory today to see if I'm right. And I do know that I need to dry this completely in order for this to work. So we're going to spend a few minutes drying this. And I put it thicker in some areas, thinner in other areas. And generally when we do Crackle, we put Crackle like over the entire surface. But if you look at like old paintings or even stoneware, sometimes there's just patches of Crackle. So if you're concerned with like, say, using Crackle over a transfer, maybe you can just put a little bit of Crackle on your surface and not have it go directly over the transfer, right? And I will say that I've inspired by Lynn decoupaging over a Crackle medium, but the product that I'm using is not the same brand that she used, only because I didn't have any, or I would have used it. So I'm using a different brand. So if it doesn't work, it's no like, it doesn't speak to that brand. And it could be user error because you guys know I have priors. This is going to take a few minutes to dry. And so I'm going to play a video about my retreat. It's like 48 seconds if you guys can watch. And then if you've been craving time just for you, time to create, to breathe, to reconnect with who you are, I want to personally invite you to the 2026 Roycycled Besties Retreat. We're gathering in beautiful downtown Safford, Arizona for 3 days of creativity, connection, and rest. All your creative supplies are provided, breakfast and lunch are taken care of, and you'll even receive exclusive recycled retreat only goodies. We are already over halfway full, so if your heart's been whispering maybe, this is your moment to say yes. Click the link to claim your seat. I would love to meet you here. Every time I see that video, I am just emotionally taken back to the time that we had together last spring at my retreat. But I do have a Roycycled Besties retreat. It does happen at the end of April. If you guys are interested, if you're on Facebook, you can put hashtag retreat and you'll get a message with additional information. Um, and let me see, if you're on YouTube, I can put a QR code up here. Let me find it. Keep my heater moving though, because I don't want to bubble up my paint. Here's a QR code, and you guys can use this to find out more information about the Roycycled retreat. You guys, it is so good. And it's not just because it's mine. Like, I put a lot of effort into this retreat because I really want to see transformation in those who come. And if you speak to anybody who came to last year's retreat, they'll tell you about their experience and how wonderful it was. Um, and yes, we craft together all week. And yes, all your supplies are included. You get a real swag bag with an apron, with a custom stencil and custom paper made just for the retreat, with supplies that you get to keep, like your paint brushes. So it's not like one of those swag bags you get that has like random stuff that you may or may not use. It's stuff that you're absolutely going to want to keep. Um, Jokingly, I have my people who didn't use their recycled decoupage paper during the retreat because they wanted to keep it. But you guys, I want you guys to use the stuff in your swag bags, but I digress. It does include your breakfast and your lunch each day. It starts on a Monday evening on a Thursday evening with a meet and greet. We create together all day Friday, all day Saturday, half a day Sunday. Um, so your lunch and your breakfast are included on all those days. You get drink tickets for the meet and greet too. We're going to be launching a brand new product that I've never carried before at the retreat, and you guys will get one in each of your bags. Like, your bag is seriously worth over $100, easy. Um, and then there's the experience of coming here. And we have a wine festival that same weekend. So if you have someone who's maybe traveling with you or driving, there'll be stuff for them to do. I actually create a landing page for you guys, things to do, so that if you do bring a spouse or someone with you, they kind of have a guide of what's available. All that is happening the last weekend in April. And I would love to have you here. My ladies all say that they felt like they were hosted by the whole town. It's a small community, so everybody knew who you guys were when you were here, and hopefully they treated you nicely when they saw you in town. You know you live in the rural community when you say in town. I think that that is dry. So we're going to go over it with our paint color, and hopefully it works. I don't know if it's going to work, but if it doesn't work, it's not like a deal breaker, because we'll just have a beautiful green color under our paper. So I am going to paint a really soft green color under here. And I'm choosing, I feel like green and pink are a classic combination, right? And this is going to be perfect And our paper is all white, so we're not going to be contending with anything on the paper, but the pink will go beautifully with the transfers that I want to put. Oh, Lord. It's crack-a-lacking already. But I got to be soft with my brush so I don't move stuff around. I want this to look fresh, so I don't know. I'm going to think about it. Whether or not I want to put like a dark glaze over this. Because you guys know, like, I'm all about grunging something up, even if it's pretty. So that's probably what we're going to do. I'm sorry. I was going to let me get like fresh and pretty, but I can't. I can't do it. I got to add a little bit of grunge. And since we're doing the crackle, I almost feel obligated to highlight those cracks. I am having to use a considerate amount of paint just so that I am not like over brushing my surface. I'm essentially just like laying the paint down, which means I'm not going back over it, right? With additional strokes. So it's a little thicker than I had anticipated, but I think we're fine. And there were places where I didn't put product. And I saw that when I looked from the side, but like I'm okay with that because in real life, we don't have like uniform crazing. Okay, let me just get in here and make sure I have everything covered. And I am going to dry this. Oops. Don't do that. Don't go back over with your brush because then you just mess it up. And so I know this green. Oops. I am so sorry, you guys. I am fired. Oh, no. You guys didn't see any of that. Maybe I should turn on the comments just so I can see warnings. So I just painted this really green and I lay down the paint really softly. So I didn't like over agitate my surface. I literally just kind of laid my paint down kind of the same way that I laid down the crackle. And so this is such a beautiful soft green. I think it's going to be perfect with the pink. It's interesting because it looks more blue on my monitor than it is in real life because you can see this is more of a blue. So this really is a really beautiful soft green. It does have some blue in it, but um, between my hair and me working with pink and green today, I'm just gonna take a trip back to the 1980s. You guys can come join me, Kay. I do want to point out that we don't have any of that, the long striations of crackle. You'll notice that the crackle, we have little squares, which is what I wanted. It's a personal preference for me. I just don't like to have like the long crackles. And I think it's because we brush our brushes like all the way across the surface. But I really did just do really short hatch marks so that I could get this shape of crackle. So now that I've done an experiment with my thesis, I know that it works. I got my art back from my graphic designer for the retreat, and it's me as a mad scientist. It's hilarious. And at the retreat, we are all mad scientists. You guys are not just sitting down all day. Like we have stations where you're doing experiments. This year will be more experimental than last year. But you'll be doing experiments with different products and different processes. And then we'll be using those things in your artwork. And while it sounds like it's what we did last year, it's going to be completely different. So the stations are going to be completely different. The piece of art that we're going to be creating is going to be completely different from last year. But the community and the enjoyment and the really good food and the good company, that will be the same. Should we leave the white crackle, you guys? I can't read the comments. I don't know why I'm asking. I guess I'm asking myself out loud. I think I'm going to leave it, even just for time. We're just going to leave it like this. If we do any grunging, we'll wait to the very end. I do want to make sure that this is dry before we start decoupaging. I have a couple of areas where I put it on really thick. When you are working with wood, you can tell if an area still has moisture because you can go over it with like your heat gun, but when you touch it, it still feels cool. That's a really good indicator that there's still moisture underneath there. Okay, I think that we are dry enough that I should be able to decoupage over the top of this. And so we are using the ephemera collage decoupage paper today. This is a really fun design because you get so many different elements on one sheet. There's bees and keys and crowns and butterflies and all the things. Um, I'm thinking, I even have a green stamp right here. So I'm thinking this piece is going to be good. I really don't want any distinct elements because I want the roses to be the stars of the show. So I'm going to use this piece here. I'll have a little bit of that element from that key pop up on the top, but that'll be fine. I mean, on the bottom, but I think I'm okay with that. I'm looking at the sheet to see if there's another area. I think I'm good. This is going to be good. Or do I want to use the butterflies? Lord have mercy. Make up your mind, Royce. So I'm running my finger along the edge of the clipboard. And what it does is scores the paper so that I know where to trim. And since this is a corner piece, I really only need to do this side, these two sides. And then I am going to trim just past where I scored. I do like to leave myself a little bit of margin of error just in case the paper shifted or something while I was deciding where I needed to cut. And I still have all of this paper that I can use on another project and a pretty big piece too. So I could use this for a significantly larger project, even though I've already used this piece. So we are wanting to maximize the transparency of the paper. So you'll see me do a couple of things. Usually when I mist, I just do like a really light mist. And I don't care if there's some spots that are kind of wet and some that are not. But when I'm wanting to maximize the transparency of my paper, I'm going to use a little more water I don't want to soak the paper, but I do want to wet it evenly so that everything is see-through. And then I'm also going to go right over the top of it with my decoupage medium um, once I decoupage. And you know what? Today I'm going to use a gloss medium. So when we use matte sealers or matte top coats, the thing that makes them matte are the little particulates that are in there, and they sit on the surface and they kind of disrupt the way the light bounces off, which is why it looks matte. And so when we're wanting transparency, those mattifiers can cause cloudiness. So that's why you guys hear me say use a gloss medium when you're, say, using reverse decoupage on glass. So I'm going to grab my gloss medium and we'll use that today so that we can really make this paper as see-through as possible. And when you are decoupaging with a light decoupage paper, you're going to get the maximum transparency. Let's see. Did I put it away somewhere? Oh, man. Oh, no, here it is right here. Okay. So I'm going to use a glossier medium. So I have that. I have my nice clean brush. And I have my paper exactly where I want it. So I'm going to establish a row here of adhesive and get my paper adhered so that I know that it's not going to move and it's going to be exactly where I want it to be for the rest of the project. So you guys see me putting a little bit more water than I normally do because I really do want it to be see-through. And that's one of the steps to maximize the transparency of the paper. And I'm going to lay down just one row to start with. And this is going to help me establish the orientation of my paper so that I don't have to worry about it anymore. And I always look from the side to make sure that I have full coverage. And you guys will notice that I always use a straight line. If I go in here all over the place and then I lay down my paper, I'm going to have a hard time gaining access, right, to some parts. Oh man, that scooted down a little bit. Okay, that should be good. And I'm also going to go right over the top right away with my top coat. And that's also a step that's going to help to maximize the transparency of the paper. And then we're going to go through and decoupage the entire clipboard the same way. I'm going to leave this top dry right here because I have to clip that. But I'm going to go ahead and wet the rest of my paper. Not super wet, just enough so that it's see-through. Because it is tissue paper, so um, we want to be mindful that we're working with wet tissue. Could you guys imagine handling napkins like this? And I'm actually going to go down and lay down a larger one this time because now that my paper is where I want it to be, I don't have to wrestle with that part. I can just focus on getting it adhered. And because I've misted my paper and all of those fibers have relaxed, I don't have to worry about it wrinkling when it comes into contact with my paper, which means I can just focus on making sure that I get good adhesion with the surface and putting my top coat right over the top. I need to be careful. This decoupage medium is a little bit tackier than my water-based varnish is. So I'm trying to be careful when I'm repositioning it. And if you have little tiny, tiny wrinkles, I wouldn't worry about those. They're likely to go away once your paper dries and shrinks again. Being really careful not to get any medium on um, my clip because I don't want my paper to adhere to my clip. And I'm just going right over the top right away. And you guys see how that green is showing right through the paper? So I will generally say, and we talk about painting white underneath your paper so that your artwork is the star. But there are instances where you want to take advantage of the fact that you can see through the paper and you can add different elements. So for this clipboard, in order to go around my clip, I am going to cut diagonally this way, and I'm going to exaggerate my diagonal. And I'm going to start way over here, but I want my scissor point to end right here at the edge of that. Although, did I not give myself enough room? My paper is a little bit wet. And what this does is allows me to um, be able to go around my clip. But I really didn't leave myself enough paper up here. Exaggerate this one a little bit more so that that paper comes around the clip and adheres at the top. And let me spray this paper. We want to make sure that it's going to be just as transparent as the rest of the paper was. Being careful, I don't want to get any of that glue on my clip. And I'm going to go in, I think it'll be okay. We have some little areas where there's no paper at the top, but by the time we're done with everything that we're going to do, it's going to be fine. Now, it's going to be more transparent right now because the paper is wet, but we're going to dry it together so you guys can see that you're still going to be able to see that green and the crackle underneath. Can you guys see that? You can see the green underneath. You can see the crackle underneath. It's so pretty. Let's dry this. I love layering my supplies because we're not all using the same supplies, but there are only so many of us available, so many products available on the market. And so you may find that you're using the same products, you know, as your friend in New York is using and you're in Arizona. So one of the ways that you can still produce really custom artwork um, is by layering your supplies, right? What colors you use, what finishes you use, what order you put your supplies in, all of that matters. I mean, we could have put our pink roses underneath this paper. They would have been a lot more subtle, but they surely would have shown through the paper. I have a piece that I did, I've actually done a couple of times where we had an abstract landscape, and the sky was this beautiful color of blue. The artwork was by Ricky Schumacher. And I would take that sky and use my cloche stencil to shape it like a cloche. And then I would put my transfers underneath it. So it would look like there were flowers in a cloche. So there are times when I have and will use a transfer underneath my decoupage paper. I'm going to dry this just enough that I don't cause problems if I touch it. And then we're going to work on the clip while this dries. And you guys, I primed this clipboard last night, and I did use a bonding primer on the clip as well last night in preparation for today's live, in order to save us time today. And when you're using old clipboards, you really want to use a white primer as your base if you're using white paint, because the clipboards, they've had lives, and whether it's a marker that's written on there or somebody spilled coffee on their clipboard, you know, 30 years ago, or sometimes there are water stains on them. I noticed the one that we did yesterday had quite a few water stains on it, and we were able to really lock them behind the primer so they didn't come through our final finish. And I think that's dry enough for me to touch it without causing any problems. I am going to go ahead and trim this here really quickly. But I do want to show you guys the difference. So you can see that it's not as transparent as it was when the paper was wet, but you can still see through the paper and you can still see the green underneath there. So let's trim this. And you guys know I'm gonna have to add some grunge to this. I just cannot not. I think it needs it though. When you're decoupaging, be really careful because if you like hold this tightly while it's damp, you can pull up like just the top pulp of your paper. So this is still kind of damp. So I'm trying to be mindful that I'm not pressing on it too hard with my thumb. And we laid down some thick layers. So I hope this gets dry enough for me to put a transfer. The thing to make sure that you do when you're using a transfer over the top of your decoupage paper is to make sure that everything is completely dry before you try to put your transfer on. If there's any moisture, what'll happen is your transfer will pick up and it'll pull up the top layer of paper pulp with it. So you don't want that to happen. If by chance you were um, in a hurry and you attempted to put a transfer on top of some decoupage paper and you that's happening, just walk away. Walk away and leave it be. Let everything dry. And when you come back, you can finish adhering your transfer and it'll be fine. And I know that walk away part is hard for us sometimes, but sometimes that's what we have to do. I got quite a bit of green paint right there on that edge. I'm trying to sand that off. So this is still, I mean, it's dry to touch, but there's still a lot of moisture in there, I can tell. But let's go on to our clip. I want to look at yesterday's. We used milk paint and wax on our clip yesterday, and we made like this dark grunge. And I used a string because I couldn't find a zip tie, but I kind of end up liking it. Look what happened. The string got embedded in the wax in the paint, and it's there. And I think it just kind of adds an element. If it would have been a zip tie, I would have taken it off, and we would have had a clean silver spot right there. So, not being able to find the zip tie actually worked out yesterday. And so that's another one of those things where you have a happy accident. So I found the zip ties last night, but I opted to use the string again. because I liked that. And if this string embeds itself, that'll be beautiful too. So today though, I want to do a different, I don't want to do a dark grunge. I actually, oh man, I need to trim this top. I'm not going to be able to trim this top. There's just too much moisture. So I am going to trim it enough so that it's out of the way of the paint there. Because it's still moisture down here. So I know there's still moisture up there. So this is just a bonding primer is all I put over the surface of this so that whatever I put on this, I know will grip. But I'm thinking that instead of doing a dark, we're going to do a light rusty finish. So I'm still going to start off with this chalk paint, this color, which you guys probably know by now that I love it. And this is just, I mean, not chalk paint, this is milk paint. But I'm thinking I should put some chalk paint down first. Let's put some chalk paint down over this just because I don't want, the milk paint is more likely to lift, which is why we love it. And I don't want this to show through. So I'm going to put a base coat of chalk style paint down to cover this so that, hold on, I'm looking for a small brush. And then we'll fix our chalk style paint using heat so that it doesn't lift at all. And then we'll put everything else on top of this. So that way, if something happens, you know, if the other paint like picks or cracks, we're not seeing that white primer back there. We're seeing a dark color coming through. And the one thing I did notice yesterday, I'll show you guys in a few minutes. I'm going to have to go back on that other one and do the bottom half of the clip because the top half of the clip looks all brand new. And the bottom half, I mean, looks nice and grungy, and the bottom half still looks brand new. So I want a full coat of black. So I'm going to hit this with some heat really quickly and dry and set that so I can put another coat. Often when you guys hear us talking about laying down how many coats of something, it's important to note that in order for you to lay down like 2 layers or 2 coats of something, you have to let the base coat dry first. If you go in for a second coat of something over your product that's still wet, you're really not applying additional coat. You're just moving around the product that's already there. So it's important that if you want to put 2 layers or 2 coats on something, that you let the first coat dry before you go in to put on the second coat. And if you guys are looking for recycled decoupage paper, you can find the paper and the retailers or the shops that carry it at roycycled.com. We do have a map so you can put in your location and you can see if there's someone near you. Even if you find an online retailer who's closer to you than I am, they may be able to offer you a better shipping rate. So check the finder, the retail finder, and see if you have someone who can take care of you. If you are interested in becoming a Roycycled retailer, you can also find that information on the website. Um, Roycycled retailers, our buy-in is pretty low, especially compared to, you know, other products that you can carry in your booth or your store. And we have quarterly business training for our retailers. We do protect territories. So you don't have to worry, like if you're in an antique mall, you don't have to worry about somebody moving into the mall carrying recycled paper if you've already been approved to serve that area. If you are interested in being online only, we do have that option. There are some rules, but you can submit an inquiry to see if that would work for you. But if you're interested in being a retailer, we do have the information at roycycled.com. So I have full coverage now with the 2 coats. So I'm going to dry this and then we're going to start with the fun stuff. I mean, the black paint was fine too, but it's not as fun as the milk paint when it dries and it starts to crackle and chip, right? And if you are just joining me today and you've missed the past lives that I've done, I believe today is number 7. So I think this is the 7th. I guess that guy works on Saturdays too. Every live motorcycle goes by. Um, if you've missed them, the replays are available. They're here on Facebook, but they're also on YouTube. On YouTube, I do have a thumbnail so you can see exactly what I worked on. And you can go and check out the replay there. I'm also posting pictures of my projects in my YouTube community. So you can go over there and see close how the final project came out. My phone is just ringing, ringing, ringing this morning. Okay, so for this layer, it's dry, but I'm going to spend a few more minutes on it because I'm using the heat of my craft dryer to actually set the paint because I do not want this paint to move when I go in and start wet distressing the milk paint that we're going to put over the top. Ooh, it's hot. It's hot in the hot tub. Okay, so this is milk paint, and this one is called a Praying Wife, I believe is the name of this color. And I mixed this yesterday, and it's funny, the powder kind of settles in the grooves of the jar. Can you guys tell what brand of jelly we like in my house? I have 3 of these jars here, and I don't throw them away because like they're so pretty. Like, why would I throw this jar away? So I repurpose them. Of course I do. That's what we do, right? Um, and so I'm pulling up some of that powder to kind of thicken my paint a little bit. I have found that I do like when I mix my milk paint a little bit thicker than you're supposed to. And this is going to be our first coat. And then instead of going over this with black, you guys, we're going to go over it with white. So our board is kind of girly, right? And so we're going to add some grunge, but we're going to add some girly grunge today. Some purdy grunge. And I'm just trying to I don't need perfect coverage, but I do want good coverage. Okay. And we're going to dry this. And I think 1 coat of this is going to be good. And then we'll go in with our white milk paint, which I hope I have enough mixed. I did not double check. You know how we talk about some accidents, we end up loving the process. So on the first day I used the milk paint, one of the things that I did was I was touching the milk paint. And when I touched it, it would like pick up. Look, now I can't do it. Oh, there we go. And so I would end up with these pieces where the paint lifted when I touched it and it revealed the paint underneath. And I really love that. So now I find myself actually doing that when I'm using the milk paint. And you guys, I teach a texture course and it's called the Texture Masterclass. It's available at roycycledacademy.com. And I did not include any milk paint in that class. And I've learned some additional things. I think it's been about 2 years since I taught that class. It may be longer than that. So if you guys would be interested in learning like how to create beautiful like rustic patinas, because I feel like whether you like industrial or farmhouse or even primitive, having those rusty patinas or those rustic finishes is something that we all enjoy. And so if you guys would be interested in a course like that, let me know, because I would love to do it because I love texture. I love it a lot. And I find that I use different products now, additional products than the ones that I used when I taught that class, mainly because they have different properties. And so I can get different results. When I was putting my milk paint down, I did make some areas a little thicker on purpose because I know that I'm more likely to get like cracks in the areas where the paint is on there a little bit thicker. And I think we are dry. I didn't get any big cracks. That's interesting. I can tell some of the areas aren't completely, I think we're dry enough. And I don't want you guys to spend the whole morning literally watching paint dry. Just wash that brush off and we'll use the same one. I made my tea again this morning, although this morning I put, oh Lord, it's a flower. I can never remember the name of it. So my tea is red with some protein powder. Because Flea, if you're watching, no, I have not eaten breakfast yet. So this is some white chalk paint, and I am going to do, I mean, not chalk paint, milk paint. I apologize. And so I'm doing the same thing I did with the other one. I'm kind of agitating the powder that settled into the crevices so that I can make my paint a little bit thicker. I don't know if I have enough in there, so let me add just a little bit because I'm going to want to do 2 coats of the white. And I have an idea in my mind, y'all. I don't know if it's going to work. Every day is an experiment around here. So if you're new to Roycycled and you're looking for someone who's organized and always knows what she's doing 100% of the time, this is not the place. We do a lot of experimenting here because I really do believe in with everything in me that where experimentation goes, creativity follows. And so that's kind of our mantra. So I experiment though. So hopefully you guys can see what if, and you'll see what happened. And then you'll know like, oh, wow, Royce really messed that up. So I'm not going to do that. But hopefully watching me try gives you guys the courage to try too. Because I think a lot of people who are new to creating have the misconception that every project is going to work out. That is not the case. I can assure you, you're going to make a mistake. Some of them work out to be good mistakes, some of them won't, but you will learn every time. I'm going to dry this coat and then we're going to do another coat. I'm trying to lay down some thick parts here though, so we can get some yummy crack. I noticed that milk paint is interesting because I'll put the water that I need to put in there and it's like really thick. And before I would just brush in and put a little bit more water, but I'm finding you have to let it sit. It's interesting. I don't know if it's like absorbing all of the moisture and then dispelling what it doesn't need. I don't know. It's interesting though. Let's do a little thicker right there. And then we have this cool little brown spot forming right there. So I'll put something thick on there. I have a little bit that's running right here, so I'm going to try to dry that really quickly so it can stay put. I don't know if I'm going to need a second color. I think one might be enough. I think I'm going to do is kind of I really love building old finishes, and it really is building. Seldom can you do it in just one coat. It takes like multiple coats and patience, which I don't always have a lot of, um, to be able to produce something that really looks old. But I mean, that's the deal, right? It looks old because it's probably had multiple coats of paint. It's been in the weather, different things. Don't put your thing too close because it'll make it bubble. Don't do that. Which I think is interesting because there's no latex in it. So I wonder why it's bubbling. Or maybe it's bubbles I put in there. I'm going to leave those because I like them, but very interesting. And so you guys see me dabbing paint and drying and dabbing paint and drying. So I'm getting this really like crusty effect. I'm loving it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish drying this. It's already 1 o'clock. How? How is it 1 o'clock? How has it been an hour already? If you guys would like a guide, I have an 8-page decoupage guide specifically talking about like how to layer your products to produce custom finishes. So whether that's painting under your paper, putting something on top of your paper, tips for you to know, like if you, for instance, didn't understand that your surface needs to be completely dry before putting a transfer on, you may have tried to put a transfer on before and had it not work. And then you thought, oh, I can't do that. And it wasn't that you couldn't do it. It's just that you didn't have the knowledge to know that it needed to be dry first. And so this 8-page guide goes over stencils, decoupage, transfers, paints, and how you can layer them to be able to create your own custom designs. And so if you're on Facebook and you would like a copy of that, you can put hashtag guide and you'll get a copy in your messenger. If you are on YouTube, I'll post a link in the communities on YouTube. So that way you guys can go over there and you can find it there. And I'm intentionally going over that piece of string right there because I want it to get embedded again so we can have the same thing happen. So that is dry and I have some of it that's chipped. So I'm going to go in and, ouch, that's hot stuff. Anywhere where it's like chipping off, I just want to go ahead and encourage it to chip off now so that I don't have it chipping off later. So good. This is so yummy. I am so happy with this. And we haven't even put wax yet. Look at that. Can you guys, you can't really tell the texture, can you? Look at that. So much texture, so much yumminess. So we've talked about when you're doing any kind of a finish and you're going to go over it, whether it's a dark glaze or a dark wax, if you go right over the top with that dark product, your paint is going to like absorb it right away. And you're going to lose any control over being able to decide like how dark or light you want your project. So because of that, I always start off with a base of clear wax. Not always, not always. If I want to have control over how dark it gets, I start off with a base of clear wax. If I want it to be really dark, like we did this project together, and with this tin, I wanted this to be really dark because the milk paint itself, it isn't like it's not like black black, it's like almost black. And so with this one, I used clear wax first, and then I went over it with a dark brown wax. But with this one, we used the same milk paint, but I went right over it with black wax because I wanted it to be really dark. So depending on what you want will determine, like, the steps that you take. But if you're not wanting your project to be super dark, then go in with a clear wax. Or if you're using like a top coat and glazes, it's the same thing. It's going to be the same premise. You'll want to go over with good night. With a clear top coat before you go in with a glaze so that you're able to have more control over how dark everything gets. I think this was my small wax brush. It's my small dark wax brush, but it's okay. We're going to use it to get clear wax here in these smaller areas. And I am going to buff that back a little bit. I really should not be using this paper towel. You want something that's lint free so that you don't get like lint all in your finish. I'm gonna buff it a little bit. That's almost perfect without putting any dark wax on it. But I'm gonna instead of putting dark wax over the whole thing, I don't know what I'm gonna do, you guys. Let's see what happens. And then I was thinking, should I use black wax? Should I use dark wax? I think that we'll use dark though. Let's start just putting it around the edges and then I'll see how I like that. And I'll decide if I want to put it over the whole thing. I'm going to put it over the whole thing. There's so much yummy cracks and textures in here. And one of the reasons why I like to use like waxes and or glazes, especially if you have details, it's to highlight those details. So our details today is Crackle, but this could just as well be a raised stencil, that has detail, and adding it the glazes and pushing that dark glaze down into the recesses and then wiping it back over the top just really highlights it. So when I was trying to show you guys a few minutes ago, you had hard time seeing the texture, but now you see it really easily because we've pushed that dark wax down into the recesses. And so it just highlights it a little bit more. And so that's why I like using glazes. That and it gives things dimension, which we talked about a lot yesterday. So I will not bore you guys with that again today. And I still have to put a transfer down. Good night. One day I'm going to show up and do a simple project, you guys. One day, someday. Okay. So that's my clamp. And you guys, this paint is not just going to chip off of here. Like, it's on there. That bonding primer really does hold everything down really well. And it looks like it's been like that all the time, right? I love that so much. Let's add a little bit of heat to this. There are some spots that are really cold, which lets me know that there's still some moisture there. So I'm going to go in um, and add a little bit more heat to see if we can get it a little drier. I think we can do the transfer. If I start putting the transfer down and we have problems, then I'm going to have to leave it alone and come back and finish putting it down later. But this part up here feels dry because it's a little cool, but this part down here is really cold, which lets me know there's still quite a bit of moisture in there. And I think, what time is it? Good night. It's 1:08. I believe what I want to do at this point is I know that I'm going to want to put some dark wax over the top of this. So I am going to put the transfer on I love the protection of a top coat and I love the look of wax. So generally what I will do is I'll use both. So I'll put a layer of not with the milk paint, that's different because the milk paint, you're really going to get a better finish if it's able to absorb whatever you're using for a top coat. But like on my other projects, I'll top coat it first, or whether you're saying varnish, top coat, clear coat, it's the same, right? My surface so that it has the protection, and then I'll put the wax over top of that. So I get the best of both worlds. I think that's dry enough. Let's choose. Um, I'm rushing it a little bit, so hopefully that doesn't bite me in the arse. I know that I want to do these pink flowers, and that's why I chose the green underneath. So it's just a matter of how I'm going to lay them out. Again, I'm not mentioning specific brands because I want my retailers to be able to share um, the video freely. But if you ask me, I'll let you know what I used exactly. No gatekeeping going on here. Um, I feel like I can do that one up here. I wish this was going in that direction. Maybe I just need one rose. Maybe I just need one rose right there. That just feels weird. Not weird. It just feels not balanced. I wish I could find like a little rosebud. I don't need to have a huge rose up top. Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna sacrifice. I'm gonna make a sacrifice. There's a little bud right here, and I'm just gonna have this going off edge. Um, and coming in like right here. But it wants to go down, doesn't it? Which means it still needs to be on this side. Does that look weird? We're gonna just do it. We're gonna do it. It'll be fine. Oh man, there's another layer underneath here. You guys are gonna let me clip that thing up. See how you guys are? Pink and green are always so pretty together. I kind of want it to be like this. And with the transfers, you guys, you want to be careful when you take them off the paper. You don't want to touch the back because you don't want to disturb the adhesive that's on the back of them. I'm going to go on and rub this really good first before I try to lift it. If I feel any, like you can almost tell if it's going to be a problem. If you lift it and you're feeling resistance, just let it, just walk away. Don't ruin your project and don't try to force it because pressing harder doesn't necessarily work. Like if it's not sticking, it's probably just moisture. And so you can absolutely layer transfers over the top of your decoupage paper. Like when you think about all the things that we play with, transfers, paint inlays, decoupage paper, stencils, paint. There are so many different combinations that you could make. Oh, how pretty is that? And then we have our little guy up here. And I'm just wanting to add a little color up here, right? So that there's not just color on the bottom. And I'm going to put this one right there and add just a little bit of weight up here for some balance. And I don't want to go until I'm done. So if you guys have to go, I understand. I know we're going longer now than we have before. I thought the clipboards would be fast. Okay. Let's do an for my top coat, I am going to go over with my oh wait. Let's trim this first. And you guys, I don't think you guys can see what I'm doing. I don't know how to make you be able to see. I'm holding my blade up against this metal and I'm running it along the bottom of this paper so that I can trim this off. So that way my paper actually goes all the way up to the metal clamp. Except I just cut the middle, so that one won't go all the way up, but it's fine. No one will know. It's under the clamp, right? But like if you're making these for your booths to sell, right? It's little details like this that make the difference. And I know that once I get it trimmed, I'm going to have to do some touch up, and that's fine. And I'll go back up top. I have to lay that little piece of paper back down and lay that back down, but I will do that later. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and just do, I want to wax over this. So I'm going to do a really generous coat of clear coat first. And I might as well tack that down since I'm putting down more clear coat anyways. And you probably want to make sure you didn't get paint on your paper before you clear coat everything. So you can wipe that off. Oh, Lord. This corner right here is not tacked down really well. Not a big deal. I'll just put some more product. And I like to do, normally I go around and check all my corners before I move on. Now, when I go over this with my craft dryer, I'm have to be super careful because I have my transfers on here now. And these transfers, you can impact the adhesion if you add too much heat. So you do not want to have any heat, like a lot of heat on them. So when I go back over this time with my dryer, I'm going to hold it higher up, like when I go over the transfer, and I'm going to move it a lot more so that I'm not holding it stationary where it's going to be a lot of heat in that one place. But I do want to dry this. Because I did say a start to finish project, right? So I want to finish. And if you guys enjoy chatting, like I know I don't chat on my morning lives, David and I will be live Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for chatting and crafting with Royce and David, where we'll be doing a project. And we do a lot of chit chatting and catching up. So if you would love to come and join our community, we would love to have you. And that's most Sundays. I shouldn't say every single Sunday, but most Sundays, you guys will catch us live there on our page. I have a spot up here that's bugging me a little bit, but um, I'm out of time. So actually, I'm gonna put another coat. I'm putting 2 coats of clear coat on here because it's a como se dice? It's a clipboard, right? And it's gonna get a lot of use. So we wanna make sure that we've protected all of the beautiful artwork that we put on here so that it stays beautimous. So while that coat is drying, I am gonna come up here and what did I do with my paper? I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna address. I have these 2 areas right here where the paper didn't come up, and I don't know if I want to, because I could take another piece of that paper and put it there, and that would absolutely work. But I'm kind of thinking I'm just gonna pretend like the paint from this dripped down onto my board and deal with it that way. Because it's supposed to look rustic, right? Stuff happens. Paint gets places where it's not supposed to be sometimes. And I'll go back and add, well, we're gonna wax the whole thing, so that'll get waxed too. And again, when I'm going over the transfer, I'm holding it like 2 fists, tall over my board. And I'm moving, moving, moving. So I'm not holding this um, really close and I'm not keeping like steady heat for a long time over that transfer. My husband and I went to go see The Wiz in Tucson, and Home by Stephanie Mills is one of my favorite songs from that movie. But I don't know all the words, y'all. So in my mind, I'm singing the song, but I don't know the words. It is very irritating. I might have to listen to it so I can learn the words. Oh, my knee. We've had rain here the last couple of days, and my body is not happy. Okay. I feel like the wax is going to make everything come alive. So I just have to do the wax, you guys, before we go. Again, if you are looking for Roycycled Decoupage Paper, you can find it at roycycled.com. We also have a map where you can find a shop near you that carries recycled papers. You'll see the retailers or buy or you'll see retailers. And you can find a retailer, hopefully, in your area. If you don't have a retailer in your area, take a look at the closest online shop to you because you can probably get a better deal on shipping with that retailer than you can if I ship from Arizona. Well, depending on where you live, but you know what I'm saying. But I'm going to go over the whole thing with some clear wax. And I know somebody's asking me, but what about if I put my paper on that clear wax? Is that going to rub off? I'm going to wait. I wouldn't use this for at least 30 days because the wax will cure. So you don't have to worry about it like rubbing off on your papers. Or you could cheat and just put like a clear piece of paper on there until that happens. But if you are selling this, that is something to think about, right? And that's the same with any like top coat or a sealer, you guys. They generally take 30 days before they completely cure. But your wax does cure over time. And so I'm going to go in with the dark wax which let me get the right brush because I don't want to. I have my two brushes. I have my dark wax brush and my white, my clear wax brush. Oh my gosh, you guys, I should have used, I said white wax and then my brain like went to an idea really quickly and I'm contemplating. While I buff this, I'll contemplate if I should go in with a dark wax or if I should go over the paper with a white wax. Oh man, I'm thinking a white wax first would be really beautiful. Y'all see what happens? This is the problem. And my brain sees the white wax so clearly, but we're not going to do it because we're going to run out of time. I'm going to just go in with the dark wax. Um, and we're going to breathe some life into this. I hit my little areas up there real quick and buff those out. Okay. Oh, yeah. That's better. And something happens to whether you're using glaze or wax. You know, we're using different colors, we're using different products. Um, and glazing or waxing over everything at the end really does unify all of the tones of your project. So if you're working with a project and you're looking at your colors and they're not quite jiving together, one of the things that you can do is to either glaze over the top of everything or use a dark wax over everything. And what it does is it unifies everything tonally and makes it look more cohesive. Okay. I'm probably gonna go around those edges with paint, but that is our project today, you guys. What do you think? I think she came out so pretty. And so just to recap what we did today, we started off with just a regular clipboard, right? And I did prime it last night in preparation for the class. And I used a gripping, a bonding primer on the metal so that all of our paint would stick really well today. We used a white chalk style paint, but first we put a Crackle medium on first. Then we did a green chalk style paint underneath the paint. So that's why you're seeing that green underneath the paper because the paper is actually white, right? So we decoupaged over the green and the Crackle. We added a transfer on top of the decoupage, and then we finished everything with some clear wax followed up by the dark wax. And we did use some milk paint and wax on our clip to create this beautiful, like grungy finish for our clip so that it looks all cohesive, like it belongs together. And that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this project. I know it was long. I'm grateful for you guys for hanging in to watch me finish. Again, if you guys are looking for Roycycled Decoupage paper, you can find it at roycycled.com. If you guys are looking for classes, if you want to learn how to create texture, how to decoupage, and not just gluing paper to surfaces, but like all of the options, not all of them, a lot of the options that are available with decoupage. You guys, I have courses at roycycledacademy.com. I also have a Roycycled Besties membership, and we meet every week and we create together in real time. So that's also at roycycledacademy.com. But thank you guys so much for joining me today. I will be here tomorrow morning. I don't know what I'm doing, but we'll be here together and we'll do something at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for another session of our Quick Craft with Royce. You guys have a blessed day. Thank you so much for joining me. And remember, where experimentation goes, creativity follow. So make sure you make time to play and experiment with your supplies.